AI-generated influencers.
Dolls instead of 30 dolls.
4 persons given a mass burial.
Rare atmospheric phenomena.
Murder prediction program. And sexual relationships with Chinese citizens.
Earth TV is a monthly digital news digest surveying human life around the world. We aggregate and coalesce open source information, international events, and local news to capture the latest developments in culture, climate, technology, and war. 1 month, 5 continents, 30 minutes. See the world on Earth TV. A reader-friendly newsletter with linked sources can be found in the description. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram for live updates on world events.
Right now, what will you do? It's easy to get lost.
I'm an Asian and you're a black woman. What are we gonna do about it? Why are you so mad about it? I am the Asian. What are you gonna do about it? I am. What are you gonna do about it, huh?
Can you please ask God to enter your heart right now? I know my man Jesus, and he wants to know you. Jesus Christ can save you right now. You can be delivered from the demonic energy that is pervading your heart. Just lift your hand up, say, God, forgive me of my sin.
Forgive me my sin.
Jesus Christ, enter my heart.
Jesus Christ, enter my heart.
And I will take this jersey off right now, Lord.
And I will celebrate the 3-time gold medalist,
I will take this jersey
Carmelo
off
Anthony.
right now in the name of Jesus. I will take this jersey off right now in the name of Jesus.
You're not a prophet. You guys are trash. Go home. You'll never be GTV.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas, please. Yeah, the view is freaking nice.
Now, women across Iran are spending thousands of dollars in a hope to fix what some call the Persian nose. Individuals of Persian or Iranian descent often have a nose featuring a slight hump or a defined tip. Now, and in a country where women's bodies are heavily policed, the beauty industry has become almost entirely centered on the face, and thus fueling desire for flawless and sculpted noses.
¡Listas y listos! ¡Venga, equipo! ¡Dos izquierdas y derecha! ¡Ahora! ¡Venga! ¡Hey! ¡Hey! 1, 2, derecha. 1, 2, 3, derecha.
A chorus of lively voices rings through the plaza. This is the Morning Cheerleaders Club, which performs for passers-by once a week. Sometimes they appear at office entrances to motivate employees.
The Bobo people celebrate an ancient tradition, a ritual aimed at helping the deceased's soul journey to their ancestors. On Sunday, April 20th, the village of Kuinama hosted this significant event. The gathering was large, with people surrounded by traditional fiber masks. These masks, seen as spirits from the bush, are central to the funeral rites, performing dances accompanied by traditional instruments and war chants.
Dressed in finery and makeup, scores of boys were paraded in a traditional ceremony around a temple in northern Thailand. The boys had their heads shaved, marking a symbolic start to the centuries-old ordination to become Buddhist novices.
Calls to reinstate the monarchy have intensified in Nepal. The country's capital, Kathmandu, is witnessing frequent protests and rallies in the favor of monarch Gyanendra Shah. Protests organized by Nepal's pro-monarchist Rashtriya Party have entered their 8th day.
From the march of drum beats to loud sounds of muskets and cannons, history came to life in Lexington this weekend as people from all over the world celebrated the 250th Battle of Lexington anniversary reenactment.
In Lexington, we will always honor the memory of these first casualties of war who gave their lives for their country in the first battle of the American Revolution.
Dominus pascit me.
Oh my God!
All of those years of YouTube!
Who is that?
The feminist! The 800 credit score! This is a microscopic masterclass! No. It's not even close!
April 15th, 2023, heavy gunfire and explosions rocked the capital Khartoum, throwing the city into panic. The Sudan Armed Forces, or SAF, led by the country's de facto ruler, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the paramilitary group Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, led by Burhan's deputy turned rival, Hemeti, blamed each other for firing the first shot. Once allies, the two generals ousted Sudan's long-term oppressive military leader, General Omar al-Bashir, in 2019. When protesters helped oust Omar al-Bashir, the people of Sudan thought tyranny was over, and the dream of civilians being in charge felt tantalizingly close. Then came a war, far worse than anyone could have imagined.
The conflict has created 3 million refugees and 12 million internally displaced. It's destroyed the economy and pushed 25 million to the brink of famine. After 2 years of bloodshed, the war machine goes on with no end in sight.
With much of eastern Sudan and the capital Khartoum under the control of government forces, tens of thousands of people driven from their homes by conflict are starting to return. From Cairo, they are now getting onto buses for the long trip back home. They are eager to return but also worry about what they'll find. But they are hoping that the relative calm in Khartoum will hold.
A familiar face emerges, and then, in the distance, a neighbor.
What a joy, my neighbor Abdallah. How are you?
Ibrahim, Asma, and their 3 sons, Awab, Mohammed, and Ahmed, were forced to flee Khartoum when the war broke out. Since then, they've been displaced all across the country. This is their first hot meal in 5 days. A small comfort for the 3 boys.
We're happy, but we'll need to rebuild everything. The shell destroyed it. After that, we'll never leave here again.
The UN is warning ongoing U.S. attacks on Yemen pose a deadly risk to civilians after a U.S. strike on a migrant detention center in the north of the country killed at least 68 people Monday and injured dozens more. Most or all of the victims are believed to be asylum seekers from African nations. The U.S. has killed over 250 people and carried out over 800 strikes on Yemen since March 15th, after Houthi fighters vowed to resume targeting ships in the Red Sea in an attempt to pressure Israel to end its assault and siege on Gaza.
Ama Allah'ın izniyle Rabbimizin takdir ettiği gün geldi.
There's some weird ass. Is that you? You want someone to bend you over and fucking rape you like they're doing to the Jews in fucking Palestine? I'm trying to think of fucking insane.
Our investigation shows how Israeli soldiers fired repeatedly on unarmed medics, closed in around them and continued shooting for more than 6 minutes, even as several of the crew were still alive, wearing their uniforms and praying. Investigating itself, the IDF has said there were professional failures and dismissed a deputy commander who was involved.
Israeli missiles have destroyed the intensive care unit and surgery department of the only hospital still functioning in Gaza City, the Al Ahli Baptist Hospital. Pictures taken by activists show huge flames and smoke at the site. Some reports say an oxygen plant was hit. A local journalist said the Israel Defense Force had phoned a doctor and given a 20-minute evacuation warning.
Take a broad view of the war in Ukraine and it feels more like a stalemate than a moving conflict. But on the ground, Russia continues to make gains, now controlling approximately 20% of the country. Battlefield commanders have been warning for months. Keeping up troop numbers is critical. Desertions and recruiting fresh troops have become a serious problem. Viral videos showing often brutal methods used by draft officers to grab men of serving age off the street is also a public relations problem. The government is trying new ways of appealing to more young people to join the fight voluntarily. TikTok videos that help to soften the image of the armed forces, giving those fighting the war a more human face.
North Korean soldiers have been fighting for Russia in its conflict with Ukraine for months. They're reportedly seeing a high number of casualties, but Kyiv officials have shown NHK why they say the troops are becoming a serious threat.
They can now use drones, and they can also conduct electronic warfare. They can use Russian weapons as well as Russian tactics perfectly. Unfortunately, the North Korean troops have evolved by using the battleground as a training ground.
It's one of the worst terror strikes in Kashmir in recent times and has left at least 26 tourists from different parts of India dead. Pahalgam, also known as India's Switzerland, is famous for its meadows and treks, was brimming with tourists. Gunshots rang out in what should have been a peaceful valley trek. Eyewitnesses claim terrorists shot down tourists after checking if they were non-Muslims.
Intense clashes in the streets of Sakhnaya as Syrian security forces attempted to wrest back control of the Damascus suburb. Syria's Druze community has been targeted by a series of attacks by Sunni fighters linked to the Syrian army. The violence originated from a fake audio recording attributed to a Druze cleric, which was deemed blasphemous against Islam. Syrian authorities have distanced themselves from the attacks, blaming them on outlaw groups, which they vowed to strike with an iron fist. Meanwhile, neighboring Israel carried out several airstrikes around Damascus, claiming they were protecting the Druze community.
Pakistan says it plans to deport roughly 3 million Afghan refugees by the end of the year. It's the latest phase of a nationwide crackdown to expel foreigners, whether they're living there legally or illegally. The government says it all boils down to national security. Tensions have surged between Afghanistan and Pakistan since the Taliban regained control back in 2021. But rights groups say deporting refugees will make a dire humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan even worse. There's also the issue of women and girls. If deported, many of them would face the Taliban's harsh restrictions for the first time.
A migrant rights group says Algeria expelled more than 1,800 people to Niger in a single day, marking one of the largest deportations on record. The migrants were rounded up in Algerian cities and left at Point Zero, a remote stretch of desert along the Niger border. And as Europe tightens its borders, more migrants are being stranded in countries with limited aid and weak rights protections.
This story time starts at the U.S. southern border. It's a tale for children who crossed into the United States alone and are in government custody. The lesson, almost impossible to imagine for a child, how to navigate the U.S. immigration system alone.
This image that you share in your storytelling could be all a child has to get through their immigration proceedings.
Yes. The termination of a federal contract for legal services has left organizations scrambling, and the thousands of children they and others serve potentially facing deportation proceedings alone.
The U.S. government has banned American government personnel in China, as well as family members and contractors with security clearances, from any romantic or sexual relationship with Chinese citizens. Though some U.S. agencies already had strict rules on such relationships, a blanket non-fraternization policies, as it is known, has been unheard of publicly since the Cold War.
The appearance of beautiful transgender women at a military conscription examination in Thailand gathered the attention of local media and netizens. Thailand has adopted a lottery conscription system, selecting forces April every year to fill between 80,000 and 100,000 soldiers. In Thailand, if transgender individuals submit documents related to their physical and sexual identity, military service can be exempted.
This is Amy. She's the baby her parents had long dreamed of, but thought might never be possible. That's because Grace was born without a functioning womb. So her elder sister Amy, who has 2 children of her own, donated hers. The womb transplant from sister to sister was the first in the UK. Since then, 3 more womb transplants have been carried out using deceased donors.
Now here, a groundbreaking drug for patients with advanced breast cancer will become available on the NHS. Capivasertib is a targeted treatment with fewer side effects, which has been shown to shrink tumours and extend life.
Sydney researchers say they've achieved a milestone in that mission to recreate living tissue with nanoscale precision.
Inside human bone is highly porous living tissue with intricate architecture, making it both light and strong. These samples are larger scale versions of the bone's anatomy, but researchers for the first time 3D printed the bone's building blocks to shape its strength. Nano-sized particles far smaller than a human hair using calcium phosphate.
That is one of the most important critical inventions, to be able to print bone at the nano level and now start building up, and the applications are enormous.
In a joint statement, the World Health Organization, UNICEF and the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization say outbreaks of vaccine-preventable diseases are on the rise. The report highlights a sharp increase in both meningitis and yellow fever cases, with yellow fever spiking across Africa last year after a decade of decline. But what's raising the biggest red flag for health officials is measles. The disease is making a dangerous comeback, with global cases surging 20% in just 1 year.
3D technology is helping people in Ghana get medical help without having to travel long distances. Live images of the patient from every angle are transmitted to doctors who can access their health condition remotely.
You could think of it as like a Teams call or a Zoom call, but it's in 3D. So you can rotate the person, you can look at them from any angle, and then you can actually, the doctors in this case, can draw on them and indicate what they're going to do.
A system using virtual reality, the first of its kind in the world, was developed as a countermeasure against customer complaints and customer harassment.
出勤前なの。早くして。
The aim is to enhance complaint handling skills by interacting with an AI avatar that expresses realistic emotions like an actual complainer through VR.
ツインじゃなくてダブルを予約したはずです。部屋を変えてくれませんか?
The player selects a response from the choices and the story progresses. If you make the correct choice, you can achieve the goal.
ありがとうございます。
Oh, yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you.
Nice, finally.
Would you mind doing this with your hand in front of your face, please?
Give me 1 minute. Let me try. Seems like. Can I join again? 1 second,
You don't need
please.
to join again.
Instead of using psychics, the police are relying on artificial intelligence. I'm talking about the UK. Their government is creating a murder prediction program. It will use police and government data, then decide how likely someone is to kill. The UK's Ministry of Justice hopes that it will boost public safety. But will it?
So, you know, it's definitely something to get used to, but I mean, even better, you know,
Yeah.
I get to be bigger and stronger now.
So can you demonstrate a few of the things that you can do? Can you pick up that glass there?
Yeah, so they're all muscle operated. I can just control it like that, can do... What's really great about these is it's just these 2 muscle sensors. So it's only squeeze to close, flex to open, cycling through grip modes, and completely wireless. So you can actually just detach the hand like that.
And you're thinking about it.
And I can still operate it the same way as if it was attached. Make it move.
That is
across the
incredible.
table.
That's
So it's
unbelievable.
Yeah. So I can do little tasks.
In Japan, a super-age society, approximately 60 people a day die alone. About 80% are over 60 years old. And notably, males are about 4 times more likely to die alone than females.
This is an old house in Nara Prefecture, Japan. Last summer, a man in his 60s who lived alone here was found dead 2 months after his passing. Neither his estranged family nor the neighbors knew of his death until a foul smell emerged. When the Japanese government investigated cases of individuals passing away in isolation, disconnected from their surroundings, it found that just last year alone, approximately 12,800 people died lonely deaths. It took over a month for around 19 people per day to be discovered.
A freshly cooked meal, the new normal for schools across Mexico, a country with one of the worst childhood obesity epidemics in the world. On today's menu at this primary school in a poor district of Mexico City, rice, chicken, and greens, and to drink, plain water. A new law banning junk food from Mexican schools went into effect this week. Schools across the country now have to offer healthy options such as fruits, vegetables, and traditional Mexican dishes. It's certainly an adjustment for a system that has for generations normalized junk food being sold in school shops.
A massive outage hit at around lunchtime on Monday, plunging businesses and transport networks into chaos. It is still not known what caused the sudden drop in power supply, which was equal to about 60% of Spain's needs at the time. Authorities in Portugal blamed it on a rare atmospheric phenomenon, while some in Spain speculated on a rapid rise in temperature of 5 degrees shortly before the outage. Spain's electrical provider Red Electrica said a very strong oscillation in the network had cut off Spain's grid from the rest of continental Europe, leading to the system's collapse.
This is the biggest sandstorm Iraq has seen this year. Airports in the southern provinces of Najaf and Basra have been temporarily shut down. Visibility dropped to less than 1 kilometer. Hospitals in Mutana province have reported over 700 cases of suffocation. Iraq's Environment Ministry has warned that more dust days are expected in the coming years.
People who weigh less than 50 kilograms could be blown away by winds in northern China this weekend. Workers have been told to hurry home, classes have been suspended, and outdoor events have been cancelled. Winds reaching 150 kilometers per hour are expected to sweep Beijing and other parts of Hebei region from Friday to Sunday, as a cold vortex moves southeast from Mongolia.
The rainfall disaster incident has claimed over 80 lives in India and 8 in Nepal. Floods and landslides due to heavy rainfall is a recurring threat across South Asia. Experts say that climate change is making these events frequent and intense.
The death toll from the earthquake has now crossed 3,000. More than 5,000 people are injured. A total of 89 aftershocks have been recorded over the weekend. Heavy rainfall lashing parts of the quake-hit country, complicating the relief efforts and raising the risks of disease as well.
The city's coming back to life, but basic services have stopped. In soaring temperatures, this is a major hygiene concern. Maine's water has failed, with pipes cracked and no electricity for pumps. Across the city, there are shortages of beds, staff, and essential medications.
The earthquake disaster damaged buildings, making the hospital unsafe to bring patients inside. A severe shortage of medical supplies is hampering response efforts, including trauma kits, blood bags, anesthetics, support equipment, and tents for medical staff.
This robot, created by a Thai company, is able to weave through the rubble and detect potential survivors.
It may seem like an ordinary dog robot, but it is not. Our robot is equipped with sensors, both at the front and at the back. This allows for human tracking and temperature sensing. Yesterday, we went into the field and detected the temperatures of both the living and the dead. The robot can distinguish between bricks, metal, and humans.
Meet these insect hybrid robots. Equipped with a tiny chip and battery backpack, these Madagascar hissing cockroaches have been engineered to put their ability to navigate small spaces to good use and help to search for survivors in search and rescue operations. These hardy creatures are on average 6 centimeters long when fully grown. Attached to them is a 5.5 gram backpack consisting of several sensors and a small infrared camera that can detect life by picking up temperature signatures.
13,000 years after the last dire wolf walked the earth, scientists say they've now brought them back.
We've taken a gray wolf genome, a gray wolf cell, which is already genetically 99.5% identical to dire wolves, and we've edited those cells at multiple places in its DNA sequence to contain the dire wolf version of the DNA. That animal looks like a dire wolf, it will behave like a dire wolf, and it is a dire wolf.
Oh, Christ!
In the heart of Kinshasa, a herd of life-size cardboard animals emerges from the trees. These animals are part of a global theatre project called The Herds, beginning its journey in the Democratic Republic of Congo to raise awareness about the climate crisis.
In anticipation of COP30 on climate change, which will be held in November in Brazil, about 8,000 indigenous people from the Amazon and Oceania gathered on Monday in Brasilia to demand that their leaders have an equal voice and power as the heads of state who will attend the summit. The 200 indigenous communities gathered at the Tierra Libre camp under the slogan, "The answer is us," emphasize their shared vulnerability to global warming.
The massive coral bleaching, which has been happening for 2 years, continues to break records. Almost 84% of the world's reefs are damaged. Corals are highly vulnerable to rising temperatures of the water, and since 2023, ocean temperatures have remained at unprecedented levels due to global warming. As a result, for 2 years there has been a global bleaching event. Coral death, evidenced by its discoloration, is spreading across the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. Around 1 billion people live less than 100 kilometers from these reefs and benefit, at least indirectly.
Coral reefs aren't going to last 50 years. At the rate we're going, they're not going to make it anywhere close to 50 years into the future.
In some parts of southern Pakistan, temperatures are expected to rise up to 49 degrees, and in Delhi, India, the highest temperature has exceeded 40 degrees 3 times this month. Experts warn that by the year 2050, India and Pakistan could reach temperatures that make survival impossible, impacting 1 billion people due to the climate crisis.
Thank you for watching the first episode of Earth TV. If you've enjoyed our content, subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated on our latest uploads, and like this video to boost its visibility. Our dedicated researchers monitor hundreds of newsrooms across the world to create a monthly digest surveying planet Earth. But you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter for breaking news and live updates on global events. You can also join us on Discord to directly share your feedback, ask questions, or simply say hello. Until next time.